That's it.
With room to run.
He gave him the stiffy. As a defender, you never want to get the stiffy.
Oh, I disagree, Michael Bennett. The only way to get through the foreplay that is the NFL preseason is with a stiffy.
You never want to get the stiffy.
The NFL preseason is over. Roster cuts are coming. The rookies have gotten their reps. I have watched it all, and today, like I did the last 2 weeks, I have your preseason stock report for week 3, plus a handful of my winners and losers of the entire preseason. All right, the stock report. Stock down. The NFL rules. Cool plays should always count, no matter what the stupid rule is. This touchdown didn't count in the Ravens-Packers game, but it's pretty fucking tight, guys. Stock down, God, who clearly had his thumb stuck on O during this Cam Akers triple spin cycle move. And I hope this was enough to earn Cam Akers a roster spot. God knows he's fought through a lot to get there. Stock up, Carson Steele. If there was any team that didn't need an awesome playmaker, it's the Kansas City Chiefs.
You never want to get the stiffy.
Not only has Xavier Worthy looked as good or better than advertised in their offense, they got their hands on a hot young Mike Allstott clone by the name of Carson Steele. Also a great porn star name if his NFL career doesn't work out. He spent week 3 of the preseason banging through the Bears defense with an 18-yard and 31-yard run. The Chiefs offense has so much finesse, and now with Pacheco and possibly Steele, they could have a battering ram that gives them an extra dimension late in games. He's a massive running back at 6'1", 225 pounds, and when you pair him with Isaiah Pacheco, I think the Chiefs are just gonna wear teams down like they did down the stretch a year ago. Stock up, Juju Smith-Schuster, who just signed with the Kansas City Chiefs after the Patriots released him. Now, some think this might be Kansas City preparing for a Rashee Rice suspension. I think it's to aid in the injury that Hollywood Brown sustained this preseason. But who knows? Bringing in a guy who knows the offense and Patrick Mahomes, just another fuck me. Fuck me, the Chiefs got it all figured out, you figures! If Rice is suspended, you know it's only going to be for 2 games, and in those 2 games, Juju will have 100 yards in both of them, at least. Stock down, Chubbs. Both Chubbs, Nick and Bradley, will start the season on the PUP list. Both Chubbs tore their ACLs last season. Both are key to their team's success this year. Both teams were able to make the playoffs without those 2 stars last year, but I think it's notable that neither team was particularly competitive in those games in January. There's a lesson there. The colder it gets, the harder it is to keep your Chubb upright. My biggest boom or bust team? The Colts right now. Stock up, Latu. We didn't hear a defensive player's name called in the 2024 draft until pick 15, which is an insane position for the best edge rusher in the class to come off the board. Latu was still getting reps in the 3rd preseason game against the Bengals, getting his first preseason sack after reportedly having an excellent training camp and getting consistent pressure in the first 2 exhibition games. Between Latu's sack and their 2nd round pick, Adonai Mitchell getting into the end zone, the Colts might have gotten some of the best value in the draft if those 2 guys can keep it going. Ultimately, it's all going to come down to the volatile stock of Anthony Richardson. Let's talk about Anthony Richardson for a second, okay? One of the biggest question marks and wild cards heading into the 2024 season is Richardson. Now, he played in just 4 games last year, flashing a ton of highlight plays, but also completing less than 60% of his passes in a small sample size, yes. I think we got the full Richardson experience, though, against the Bengals. He put together a really nice drive, showing off his unmatched arm strength, but also threw a horrible pick 6 against Cincy's backups, which may or may not have been due to a miscommunication with the tight end. Richardson is fascinating to me because he has some of the best tools of any QB alive as a passer and a runner, but he's lacking experience, and he's got the highest variance of any quarterback in the NFL. There's a world where he has a breakout season and the Colts win double-digit games, and there's a world where he's still very much learning to play the position at this level and a team that's ready to win suffers for it. And there's also a world where neither of those things happen because some people believe in multiverse and the multiverse theory. Bryce Young, he finally got to play. Stock up. Head coach Dave Canales said he had a hell of a day.
Bills are not playing their starters.
Young orchestrated a 12-play, 85-yard drive for a touchdown and looked comfortable behind an improved offensive line.
Bills are not playing their starters.
Except for this one scramble. But even there, I think he saved the play. Young had a really nice conversion on 4th and 3 where he was flushed left, appeared ready to run, but kept his eyes downfield and connected with new Panther Deontay Johnson for a first. It's a very, very small sample size, but let's bank on Young having a better sophomore season, Panthers fans. Spencer Rattler put together a solid but understated preseason. Everyone was talking about his perfect touchdown throw to Equinemius St. Brown, but he's shown something in each of his games. He would have had 2 touchdown passes if he didn't underthrow this ball in the 4th. I don't think he's quite ready yet, but sitting behind Derek Carr all year is a perfect spot for Rattler. Stock down, Saints running back Kendre Miller, who hasn't played due to an injury and could be cut. Stock up, 6th-string running back Jacob Brissett on this bulldozing touchdown run. Stock way up the entire Titans quarterback room? I never thought I'd say this. Will Levis, Mason Rudolph, and Malik Willis all looked efficient? Malik Willis threw an FDR to the same end zone Rattler got all the hype for. Levis was 7 for 8 for a $118. Rudolph 11 for 15 for 114. And for Willis, the potential is finally showing. 3 of 4 for 51 yards and 2 TDs plus 29 rushing yards. Willis looks so improved that he actually got himself a new job with the Green Bay Packers. Nice job, Malik. But I'm cautiously optimistic I'll be able to use the Levis Hellman's Mayo commercial in a positive light frequently this year.
You never want to get the stiffy.
Today's episode is sponsored by Underdog Fantasy. Remember, if I generate 10,000 signups for Underdog, they owe me $1 million. So far, we have 536 total signups, which means we're less than 9,500 away from changing the destiny of this channel forever. If we hit that goal, which I don't think we will, but if we do, I invest that money into the people who help me build this shit. I'm talking about my writing partner, Will Keys, the guy who helps me edit the best videos you see here, Johnny Barks. I am gung-ho about trying to hit this goal so I can take care of the people who help contribute to make this thing succeed. We're about to hit year 12 of football I've covered here on YouTube, and I've never had an opportunity like this before. And Underdog's literally the only company willing to take a chance on me like this, which is why I'm rocking hard for them. Also, I said if we hit 10,000 by the time the season starts, less than 2 weeks, I'll ask my barber to do this to my hair. Or this, or this. Your choice. I keep working with Underdog as my daily fantasy partner because they respect creators. I have a Cortland Sutton special for the Week 1 Pick'em entry, only available with my code, That's Good. Oh yeah, you gotta use my code when you sign up. Otherwise, I don't get the credit. And if you wanna play daily fantasy, do it with Underdog because there's no place where your purchase supports this channel more. That concludes the stock report, so let's take a look at some of this preseason's biggest winners and losers. Culmination of work. Winners? Old-ass skill players. First of all, I respect Cordero Patterson for one reason. When every skill position player is picking single-digit numbers, he's still rocking 84, even though he's been a running back in the NFL for the last 6 years, more or less. After 3 years with the Falcons, he followed Arthur Smith to Pittsburgh, where he's going to get carries in a running back room with Najee Harris and Jaylen Warren, who's battling a hamstring, which of course will piss off fantasy football players to no end. But you have to be in awe of a 33-year-old former wide receiver who started his career on the same team as Adrian Peterson and Toby Gerhart, still blowing past defenders. Not only did Martavis Bryant touch an NFL field for the first time since 2018 and catch a touchdown in the process, we also got the return of Jordan Matthews, who returned to the NFL as a tight end and caught a TD from Bryce Young. Both Bryant and Matthews were drafted all the way back in 2014, and neither of them have caught a pass in the NFL this decade. Somehow Matthews is still only 31 years old. If you had asked me a week ago how old he was, I would have told you at least 45. I love to see guys who peaked in 2015 play a role in the NFL 9 years later, because it reminds me that not everyone who was around when the Broncos last made the playoffs is retired or past their prime. Losers, the Cowboys. Corner Deron Bland suffered a stress fracture in his foot, and he said, yes, that's the stress that comes with wearing the star on your helmet. He's out 6 to 8 weeks. Stephon Gilmore, who stepped up when Trayvon Diggs got hurt last season, is gone. Bland is hurt and Diggs is returning from a torn ACL. My expectations for the Cowboys secondary to start the season, low. And the only thing Jerry Jones went all in on is backup quarterback Trey Lance, who has had a weird-ass preseason, to say the least. Trey Lance threw not 1, not 2, not 9, not 11, but 5 picks in the Cowboys' preseason finale against the Chargers. And the Chargers spent half the weekend trying to get out of a fucking broken elevator in Dallas.
I was watching as each person came off the elevator. I mean, sweating, and some had the shirt off. Like, I wish I could have been there with those guys.
Now, these picks by Lance they were pretty bad. He threw into traffic into the end zone. He didn't put enough zip on the ball on one of the throws, and he just flat out missed what should have been a touchdown pass. What's wild is he still completed 67% of his passes in that game, and he threw for 323 and rushed for a 46-yard touchdown. He actually leads the NFL in passing and rushing yards during the preseason. He also threw the ball 44 more times than any other quarterback, and even though the picks are unforgivable, I like that Dallas gave him all of these reps. Stetson Bennett had the second most passing attempts this preseason at 69. Don't say nice. But he also fired 5 picks. Trey has had fewer reps than any first-round quarterback taken in that infamous 2021 draft. He had just 19 games under his belt coming out of North Dakota State, with just 2 in 2018, 16 games in 2019, and 1 in 2020. The talent is easy to see, but you'd be hard-pressed to find an NFL quarterback who played less football than Trey Lance dating back to 2018. And the funny thing about playing quarterback is you can't really get better if you don't fucking play. The Cowboys gave him those reps. But now he has to sit all year and think about throwing 5 picks the last time he played. Winner? Ultimately, I think Russell Wilson was a big preseason winner. Yes, he took 3 sacks in a quarter in his first action. Yes, he nearly caused Stephen A. Smith to have an aneurysm on ESPN.
The only damn thing good that you brought to Denver was Sierra.
But ultimately, he's going to start week 1. I think, with a solid organization while making a shit ton of money to do so, almost all paid by his ex. It's like Future paying Russell Wilson $35 million in child support. Plus, this week against the Lions, Russell Wilson stayed in the pocket and made exactly 1 beautiful completion to a number 14. Trust me, Pittsburgh, a number 14 is the only guy getting the ball all season long. Russ went from DK to Cortland Sutton to George Pickens. I'm starting to think this is how he picks his teams. Give me a tall receiver wearing number 14, that's where I'm going. Winner? Big one, Aaron Rodgers. There was a moment in time this year where Aaron Rodgers considered joining RFK as his vice presidential running mate. After watching RFK drop out, Rodgers has to feel like he dodged a bullet. Something RFK's family always struggled with. There's been enough time. Losers? 49ers. Brandon Ayuk has not been extended or traded. Trent Williams is still in contract talks and threatening to sit out if his deal isn't reworked to his liking. Ricky Pearsall isn't healthy yet, and Brock Purdy has struggled a little bit in the preseason. This could be a really down year for the 49ers. I'm predicting a putrid 11 wins and a playoff spot. I'm mostly just annoyed that I have to keep hearing about which 49ers players are holding out. I'm not saying the players are wrong or that the 49ers are wrong. All I'm saying is shut the fuck up and get the deals done. Winner, Zach Wilson. The internet was going wild for Zachariah Wilson on Sunday, and for good reason. He lit up the Cardinals to the Clayton tune of 2 TDs and 251 passing yards. Zach was dealing. Word to your moms, Zach Wilson came to drop bombs. He looks rejuvenated, and that's nice to see, considering my reaction was this when Denver signed him.
What? Why? Why?
Now, Sean Payton may have saved his second Wilson post-Hackett. He's like Tom Hanks in Castaway, nurturing his Wilson and then sending it off. Better than he found him. But if you watched the first 2 series with Zach Wilson in this game, you saw why he's not starting. And I am pumping the brakes on the Zach Wilson hype. A sentence I didn't think I'd have to say, because in a real game, he's still on the trajectory of doing some stupid shit every drive. Whether that's a terrible throw, a terrible decision, or a zero awareness sack. This preseason game was like his final season at BYU. He flashes insane talent with that beautiful long hair, and he gets better and better as the competition gets worse and worse. The question with Wilson is, can the right coaching fix his poor decision-making in game action? I think Sean Payton can, but we won't see that because Zach needs reps, and he's not getting them because he's got Bo Nix ahead of him, right? Reps with the right coaching, and I'm not sure that's gonna ever happen for him. I prefer Jarrett Stidham still as quarterback 2 in Denver because if you need him to finish a game or start a couple games, I think Stidham's the right guy. Wilson's only really intriguing if you need him to fill in for your starter because your starter is on IR. There's like this weird untapped ceiling with Zach Wilson and still not enough trust for him to be the dude to finish a game with a win in a pinch. To put it simply, if you had to insert Jarrett Stidham in the 4th quarter of a game because Bo Nix gets dinged up, you believe Stidham's not going to make a mistake, whereas Zach Wilson might cost you the game. That said, Wilson may have done just enough to earn a flyer by a quarterback-needy team this upcoming offseason. Loser, poor Jacoby Brissett getting dinged up in the preseason finale. Jacoby took a shot and hurt his shoulder. Apparently the injury's minor and he should be ready to go week 1. There was a moment, though, where we thought Drake Maye might get to start week 1. And that is so much more exciting than waiting for the Patriots offensive line to allow Brissett to get murdered. Gerard Mayo will have to insert Drake Maye earlier than he wants to because I think the most certain thing right now is Jacoby Brissett not staying healthy behind that line. Worst case scenario for the Patriots this season, they insert Joe Milton week 10 and just let him throw it as far as he can on literally every play. Most Hail Mary attempts in a single season, the 2024 Patriots.
You could do a Hail Mary from your own 20-yard line.
Winners? The Houston Texans. Well, there was nothing too interesting to watch in Houston for the preseason. One guy whose NFL journey has been hampered by leukemia, receiver John Mechie, pushed his stock way up. Mechie was rehabbing from a late season ACL tear in 2021 as he wrapped things up at Alabama. During that rehab process, he learned he had leukemia. Mechie was drafted in the 2nd round in 2022, missed that season with the Texans as he kicked leukemia right in the fucking dick, worked his way back, and finished last season with 16 receptions for 158 yards. The Texans are stacked at receiver with Diggs, Nico Collins, Tank Dell, and even Noah Brown, and apparently teams are calling to try and trade for John Mechie after his very nice preseason and another insane Texas spin move. I suggest the 49ers trade Brandon Ayuk to the Commanders, but without having Washington include a player like we know that the 49ers want. Instead, maximize their draft capital and then send the Texans a mid to mid-late-ish round pick for Mechie. Or Houston can keep him on the roster knowing the NFL season is long and having the deepest group of ball catchers for CJ Stroud is ultimately a good thing. And those are your real winners and losers of the NFL preseason. Come back later this week for our official Week 1 Power Rankings episode where the new curse wheel will make its debut.